Now let's take a look at the Playback tab. This is the second one in our set of contextual tabs for video. As we'd expect, these are tools for working with the actual playback of the video, but they're just as simple as it was to format. If we take a look at what we have, we can work with things called bookmarks, we can trim the video, we can add fade in and fade out so it doesn't just start and stop but has a little bit more elegance to it. We can work with the volume, and through some checkboxes we can determine when it's going to start, if it's going to play full screen or the actual size we have on the slide, if we want to hide it, if we want to loop it, rewind it, and so forth. So again, a complex set of options that are varied but also pretty simple to use. Well, there's just a couple that I want to focus on. The first is that this particular video has some stuff at the beginning and at the end that I don't necessarily want people to see. And even though I've set my poster frame, I haven't actually changed what the whole video looks like. That's what I want to do next. So let me go ahead, make sure I click on the video itself. We can come down and we can actually play some of this video. And you can see that there's parts here at the beginning that I don't necessarily want people to see before I start speaking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my tools to actually trim the video. In order to do so, I'm going to move up to the ribbon and click on the Trim Video option. This actually brings up a separate window where I can work with this information. We get to see the timeline, and we can move the timeline around as well as determine the start and stop points. There's a couple of ways you can do this. First of all, you can use a little spinner. For example, at start time, I can just start to click on the up arrow until I get to the point where I want the video to actually start. I haven't looked at it specifically, but I'm thinking that it's probably just a little bit in from the beginning when I actually start to smile and start to speak as well. You'll notice that these numbers are a little bit odd with a lot of decimal places, and if you're not used to video, they may look strange. But just remember that a lot of this is visual, so find the spot that you want visually, or if you know a specific time marker, and then you can use that. So now I've actually set where I want my start time, based on just watching the video and seeing where the look and the feel of it is actually right. What else can we do? Well, for my end time, I'm going to do it using the timeline itself, by simply dragging the marker. As I move in here, I can see that there's parts where I'm turning things on and off, and I'm just going to continue to drag until I see the frame of video that I want as my last frame. There's a good point. I have a smile. My eyes are open. This is good. All I have to do is set those two marks, then click OK. And now I have physically trimmed the video, not just set the starting poster frame. The last thing I want to do is actually add a bookmark. Now, bookmarks can be used, of course, to mark it for your own purposes, so in longer presentations you know where the important parts are. But I'm actually going to use this for a little bit of functionality. Again, this may not be perfect because we're just kind of playing with things here, but I'm going to go ahead and move a little bit into my video by using my player controls. And that looks like about the point where I'm going to start talking. I'm going to go ahead and move up to the ribbon, and there's a button on the left-hand side that says Add a Bookmark. You'll see that I actually get a little bookmark icon on the timeline. Now I'm just going to move a little bit further, and again, there's nothing really specific I'm looking at here. It might be a certain duration. There's lots of different things that you can use to determine how long this is going to stay. I'll just find a point like that. Try to stop on something that doesn't make me look too silly. Sometimes when you freeze video frames, you get looks that you kind of wish that people wouldn't stop on. So we'll just pick that one, and I'll go ahead and add another bookmark. Now I have two. Why do I care? Well, I care because I've already put some things onto the slide before we got started, including a little text box that just says Windows 7 Intro Sample. This also has some animations, an entrance and an exit. I'm now going to drag this up onto the video. Probably need to do a little bit of detail with it. For example, it's sitting in the back because it was added earlier. So I'm going to go to my format for my drawing tools, and I'm going to bring it to the front. And then, of course, I could move it around and size it so that it's appropriate and evenly spaced, all of that good stuff. But that's not the important part. The important part is that I'm now going to go back and do a little bit of formatting to make this look right. I'm going to center the text. Then I'm going to go to my Animations tab. In my Animations tab, I can look at the animation pane, but I know that I already have some different animations added for this text box. As I said, an entrance and an exit. When we create a bookmark, though, we can use those as triggers for when this should actually appear. How do we do that? Well, I can simply do it by working with the Triggers feature. So I have my text box selected. Then I want to come over to my animation pane and make sure that the proper animation is selected. Now we have text box here and we also have video. I want to go ahead and select the text box. And if you pause over it, of course, you can see which one this is. This is a pinwheel that's going to come in. And the second one, of course, is a shrink and turn, which is an exit. And you can also see the little indicators here. So for my entrance, I want that to happen at a specific time. If I move up to the ribbon, I can choose triggers, and I can have this occur when I click on something or on a bookmark. And since I've created the bookmarks, I simply click Bookmark 1. Then I come down and I make sure that I select my second animation for my text box, which is up here at the top. Then I go back to Triggers, again on Bookmark, and this time I choose Bookmark 2. So it gets a little confusing over here in the animation pane until things are actually added in, because really the file itself, the video, is part of an animation too. So make sure that you pay close attention to what you're selecting and which animations you're working with before you do this. But as with everything else, if you make a mistake, it's no big deal. You can always come in and remove an animation or remove the trigger or change it somehow. So there's nothing life and death about it. You'll get better with it as you work with it. Well, we've done quite a few things here in a really short amount of time, and I'm sure this isn't exactly perfect, but we did a quick and dirty of it so you can see what the features are. Normally, I'd certainly spend more time tweaking everything to be sure it's just perfect, but are you ready to see what we have? Well, just as a good practice or a best practice, I'm going to go ahead and save this before we play it. So let me go up to my Backstage. I'm going to do a quick Save As. I'm going to go ahead and actually save it to my desktop. I'll keep it with the same name and just click Save. Now, as they say in the movies, let's roll them. Let's go ahead and take a look at this as a presentation. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but just give you a little taste. There's always a starting point in things we do in life. Let me give you an example. Now let's say that I have a business meeting. I have to know what building I'm going to, then enter the building. So there you have it. What more do I need to say? Well, any of you who know me will say, she always has something else to say. But I'll try to keep it short. In PowerPoint 2010, we have an entirely new tool set that allows us to not only insert, but also to edit and customize playback of video clips, right from the comfortable interface of Office. And that's all I have to say about that, at least for now.